and super great about assisting people who get really afraid when they're out on a, an investigation and they've never done it before. And that's the ground rule thing, right? So again, let's kind of jump back to our topic at hand about these kinds of interactions, because I think that new people often too give me some of the best information because they're not jaded.
Right, right.
They haven't been, they haven't had the opportunity to, spend hours and get nothing, days, months, weeks, years of their lives. And so sometimes the information that they can give too can verify just what we were talking about today.
Exactly.
It's kind of, I don't know, I think it's a threefold thing, right? It's like, um, I'm on the fence about, this is my threefold. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence in terms of, can they acknowledge us? I think there's a yes factor in there. I think there's a maybe factor in there. And I
Hmm.
think possible factor in there. That's my three. There we go,
Yeah.
three.
Well, as I
You know,
say, I've seen it both ways. So,
yes.
which way do you go?
Well, and that's it,
So
right?
I just try to stay right in the middle, and
Well, and that's it too. I try to keep neutral because I think that going one way or the other becomes problematic when you're investigating. If you're too set in what you expect an
oh
outcome
yeah,
to be, then
yeah.
you're not willing to accept anything else. And
Hmm.
I think as anybody in investigation, that you have to be very open. And we can get very set in our ways, right? But so can spirits. Right? Just gonna
And
say,
it's the procedures of the way that you investigate as well. That
yes.
you don't go charging in, like you
No,
see on some of the television shows, demanding
well,
and
yeah,
show
that
me
for me,
your power, and it's like no, no, no. It's like for myself, and I can only speak
respect.
for myself. But when I go on an investigation in a haunted location, what I do, and this is where Trudy and I work very well together because I consider her to be our lead investigator, where she will come forward and ask the questions of the energies to come forward to speak through the spirit box or whatever. Where myself, I like to just go and sit quietly in the corner, sit down and wait for something to happen, and whatever happens will happen. That's the
Yeah,
way I like to work.
and honestly too, I very rarely ask for anything to come forward. I'm like you. I just go, only myself is my equipment. And I'll wander off on my own and I'll go find actually what I'll do is I just walk through the building usually the very first time. I don't want to know anything. I want nothing. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I just want, and it's not being antisocial. It's just, I want to walk through and I want to pick up on what I pick up on. So, whatever energy I feel in certain spots, is it hot? Is it cold? Do I get any kind of, sensation, physically? Am I, and I want to do that. And then I pick the spot that I think for myself, I'm going to get something from. And then I go back and I spend time in that spot. Often
Mhm.
I like to do it on my own. But if there's lots of people there, I'm at a point now where I can do it. It doesn't matter if there's one person, no person, or 100 people. I'm able to zone into where I need to be. But again, too, it's if people are out there having experiences, if they've had an experience, Ian and I would love to hear about it, where for your own, I guess, your own positivity rate, that you feel 100% that that spirit, that energy has been able to communicate to you in a present timeline to make
Yeah,
you
people, put,
see.
please, put it
Yeah.
down in the comments below.
I mean, and this is the kind of thing that we're talking about too when you're compiling information, because the more information we have, the more, the more we can make, I don't want to say conclusions, but the more we can decipher from that information. And I think that that's the important thing here. Like today we did this question because we know there's really no positive yes or no answer to this, right? This was kind of one of those, it's our own personal opinion.
Right.
And, most of what we talk about on here, let's face it, is opinion based because there's not any 100% tangible science behind the paranormal. So it's experience and opinion, and opinions vary. And we like that, right? My experience is different from your experience, is different from Rachel's experience. And, any guests that we've had on the show past, or in the future, it's always very different that way. And I like that because, again, I'm always open to hearing about other people's experiences because they vary and they differ. And
Yes, they do. Yep.
there is no one way to make any conclusions in the paranormal, I don't think. I mean, we have the equipment, and the equipment gives us some verification. Like it gives us the idea that we know there's an energy field or a magnetic field, or that there's some possibility that a voice can be transmitted through radio waves or any of those kinds of things. They're more science based in terms of, but we have to remember that every single ghost hunting piece of equipment has had a former life as something else, right?
Not necessarily. There are pieces that are now specifically designed strictly for paranormal research.
Based on, an EMF or a REM pod or any of those kinds of, they're still based on picking up on those electronic or magnetic fields and influences. So we have instruments that are used for construction, for science, for all of those things already. And so these have become an extension of those pieces of equipment, right? But and they're sort of now tailored more towards specifically picking up paranormal experiences than they are, running an EMF detector up and down the wall to see if there's an electrical wire behind it, right? So I mean, those kinds of things. Yes, we've finessed them into pieces of equipment that work for what we're doing, but they did all have a basis in some other existence prior to. I've not yet seen a brand new piece of equipment that isn't relying on older technology.
Previous technology. Yes, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
And why is that? Because it works. Right? It works. It does the job. And why, I mean, we can finesse it into something that makes it more accurate for what we're doing. But let's face it, like, a construction grade electromagnetic meter will tell you, there's a wire in the wall that's active, or it'll tell you there's an energy around you that, there isn't a wire in the wall. What is it? Right. So, I mean, those kinds of things. And that's, that's something too, like getting into talking about new equipment, what's out there. That's probably a show that we should do, is talk about some of the new stuff that's been changed and altered and,
well, there's new equipment coming out all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, there is. And there's people, I'm actually going to plug somebody, Joe in Buffalo, who's got his paranormal shop. And he's got all kinds of.
Oh, is that Paranormal Oddities?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got lots of cool gadgets, right?
Yeah.
So,
plug out for Joe.
yeah, a shout out for Joe. And I mean, when we're allowed to travel and go to, I really miss going to Buffalo. And he's got a new. Well, the shop's not so new now. He moved, but he moved kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, so I've not been there. But he even builds devices, so that's a really cool thing, right? And I think that's neat that you're able to do that and go and take this stuff and finesse it into specific gadgets that work for what we do. I'm not a huge gadget person, like I said. I find an amusement with them, but for me, I also find them distracting because they sort of and that's just me walking around holding on to one, right? I've done it. I have